Good afternoon. Make sure we're live here. And we'll give everybody a minute. Hello, Brenda. Hello, Victoria. How are you? I have such a mess on my table. Hi, Linda. I started out with, just swatching the new colors. And then it's like I tried combining them. And then I thought, oh, what else should we try them on? So I thought, and they are fun, aren't they, Victoria? I just thought, you know what, let's just do a whole video where we just play with stuff and see what works. And then maybe next week we'll put some things together. The colors are really pretty, and being the pearls, they have that sheen to them that is just beautiful. So here, I'll hold this one up close. They're so pretty. There's a few things to remember when you're working with them, but really not that much, and they actually are very easy to use. So we've got some Yupo that we're working on. I thought we'd try different backgrounds. This one is the Metallic Confections cardstock. If you have that in your stash, it's got a craft background and then a really nice shiny metallic finish, and it actually works quite nicely with alcohol inks. I thought I'd try the Spellbinders paper, and that's the brushed gold. And then we just have some acetate, so that's always nice to have in your stash. So this is the side, pretty sure this is the side that I did those on. And if you turn it over, you just get such a really great effect. And you can see that pearl through. You could use those for shakers, or you can mount that on a white background and it looks beautiful. And then we're even going to pull out the toner sheets from ThermoWeb, which are fun. So I foiled this, and I had a little incident with my mink because I wasn't paying attention. Hey, Jennifer. But that's okay. We still went ahead with it and then inked the background. So really pretty. Hello, Glenda. So you've got that pretty foiled effect with those clear toner sheets. Then this one, I was trying to do some jelly plate stuff, and I think I have to play around with that more before we go into that. Hello, Bobby. But what ended up happening was I put some ink on the jelly plate, let it dry, put some paint over top, and then pulled it off. And it didn't do exactly what I wanted, but I think there's definitely some possibility. But I had extra paint, just white acrylic paint. So I put it on the back of or on the paper, just plain cardstock. And then I did the alcohol ink over the acrylic paint. You're not going to get as much play as you do with the Yupo, but definitely you're going to be able to move things around. We'll try that. And Hello, Mary, and the alcohol pearls are beautiful. And I thought, you know what, let's even try it on black. And so I put some clear gesso over top of my black cardstock and tried it, and you get this really wispy, soft effect. And you can really see the pearls in that. So we'll try all those. I'm going to show you the colors close up, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new stuff in the store, and then we'll just play with stuff. So this one here is Intense, and in the description I have linked the alcohol pearls, but you can just search for alcohol ink, or whatever you're looking for, but the new ones are under the alcohol pearl. So this is Intense, and it's this really beautiful kind of a pinky red maroon color, really gorgeous. Then we have Scorch, and I love that he's brought out a rainbow of colors because I love rainbows. And then I feel like you can mix them and kind of do whatever you would like with them, but you have the rainbow range. So the orange, it's kind of a burnt orange, it looks like, and it's called Scorch. So this is all on Yupo. You get that really beautiful alcohol ink flow, but you have the pearl showing up there as just a shimmery, shiny, yes, Glenda, definitely rainbow, all about the rainbow. Hello, Lorraine, how are you? This one is Radiant. So this is a really nice, it's that yellow, but with the deep tones. And yeah, the names are so cool. Hey, I do love the names that he comes up with. And it totally looks radiant. I mean, it totally fits. That's good, Lorraine. And here is Elixir, which totally is like some kind of a potion. Love it. Hello, Margaret Erica. And I think this would be, isn't that a nice like St. Patrick's Day green as well? I think that would be really pretty. Then we have Divine. So this blue is so beautiful. And I love that you've got the darker tones of it, and then you can see how it wicks out into the lighter tones. So you can get these either as the 2 packs of 3, or you can buy them individually. If you only wanted, a blue and a purple or something, then you can buy them individually. And the purple is called Opulent, which is gorgeous. It is divine. You're right. And then we have the Rose Alloy, which is so beautiful. So here you can see I added it to in here. It has such a beautiful rose tone to it. And in here, we're going to kind of review how you get that to move around. Hello, Georgia. So these ones here are just, I was playing with a bunch of colors, so I don't even know exactly. They're the new pearls. I also added in the rose alloy, plus I added in some of the regular alcohol inks, but we'll play around with those and make some different designs. So this was using the foam and some blending solution so that you get those really cool effects. And I'm not sure that my favorite is when all the colors are on, but I do think that it would make a really cool effect, like if you die cut it out. Thanks, Rosie. Or you placed a die cut over top. And I think just playing around really gives you, lets you know what you like the best. That's very pretty. Yupo is the paper with the plastic finish, you're right. It has actually plastic paper on both sides, not a gloss paper. So gloss is kind of shiny on one side, and you can use it for alcohol inks, but that's not Yupo. no packaging. So if you have Yupo, you can't just rip it like paper. It's actually plastic. You can die cut it, you can ink on it, but it is a plastic substrate. If you have something that's shiny on one side and it's more of a matte finish on the back and it looks like a paper, that might be glossy cardstock. And there's lots you can do with that too, and you can play around with them, just like we're going to be adding the alcohol pearls to these things that, you know, it's not going to move as much as you can move it with the Yupo, but you can still have fun playing around with it. So there's, and if it is glossy cardstock, you know, look up all the things you can do with glossy cardstock too, because that's really fun. And then here are just the pearls kind of mixed, and you can see how they are so beautiful together. So a little bit of rose in there. I love how you can get that effect of that, almost like that veining. Thanks, Rosie. And then this was me just playing around with kind of a smooshing thing. I was watching Jennifer Maguire. So we'll play with that. So let's put these to the side for a minute. I'll give you a look at some of the new stuff, and then we'll just start playing and giving you some ideas of what you can do with these. Does anybody have a favorite color? I don't know what my favorite would be. The rainbow, that's all of them. Hello, Connie from New Brunswick. I don't know, they're all really gorgeous. I do really love that green, especially going into spring. But okay, so some of the new things, some of these things I had ordered, some of them Sandy just popped in my bag to show you guys. So these here, these are the Nuvo Jewel Drops, and these are holly berries. You can't pick, Victoria. I know, I can't really pick either. And it's a translucent drop, and I haven't had any of the jewel drops before. I've had some of the crystal drops and I have the dream drops, but I thought I would try these. So this is just doing 2 little dots. You can do larger dots, smaller dots, and so you can get embellishments. You can do little hearts with any of your drops. And let me just zoom in and I'll show you quickly how you can do that, because it is Valentine's Day coming up, and if you need to do some little accents on your cards, that's all you do. You just do a drop, pull it down on each side, and you've got a little heart. And then I put a little bit on the paper and just smooshed it with my finger just so you can see. It's like a glossy kind of translucent finish. So I like how those are translucent. Really cool. Then this one is the Sprig of Mistletoe, and it's the crystal drops, and it's a gloss finish. And so same thing, you can do dots in whatever size, you can do hearts, you can write with it. This is it kind of just painted out. You can paint your embellishments with them. Anyway, lots of cool things. And there's lots of Nuvo drops in the shop if you need some drops. So that is that. Then I have here these Spellbinders Color Essential Gems. So there's a bunch of different colors in the shop, and this one is the Crystal Mix. So you've got like the clear and then almost this iridescent kind of crystal, and those, you've got a large amount of those crystals. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Jessica. And these are really great. I've been using some. We got some in a pack that Scrap Shotz did some sample products, some sample cards from the different designers, and so Spellbinders put in some of the gems, and I really love them, especially these little tiny ones, and they seem to stick really well, and they accent really nicely. So there's lots of different colors, and then this one is the Crystal Mix. Then Altenew has some new embossing folders out, or they're new in the shop, and I believe they're new in the store. This is Gems. This is a 6x6 folder, and so here's a look at, it's a 3D folder, so you get lots of that dimension. It looks like little gems. Then this one is really beautiful. That kind of shows you that dimension that you get, and this one is called Botanical. Hello, Debbie. So that's gorgeous. I think you could use that so many ways, like a background, and then just do a word across it would be beautiful. This one is Fringe, and I did a couple different samples with this. It is really cute. So here's a look at the back, and I embossed it just on a plain piece of white paper, and it actually looks like a fringe. Like, how cool is this? So I think if you had a background that you had inked with different layers, or you could ink it after you emboss it, so cool. And it looks like a party on a card. I took this piece of Yupo because you can emboss Yupo paper. And I don't necessarily love this embossing folder on this. I think it gives it some cool detail. I don't think you get that fringed effect, but that's okay. This is just playing around. Hello, Tamara. And love letters. There's a bunch of new sprinklets in the shop, so be sure to check them out if you need some new embellishments. These, I just love the little mini hearts. And then you've got some cute little lips, or sorry, the little mini envelopes and the lips. And there's a bunch more different themed. Let's see, I have a little bag of goodies here. We've got these, which look super cool. Let me just grab these out so I don't have to keep wrinkling this bag around. Okay, this is the Pink Fresh Studio, and it's the metallic pearls in sparkling champagne. They are really beautiful. Hello, Michelle. And there's all kinds of different sizes. You've got from, really tiny to the larger ones. And you can stick those on with any kind of liquid adhesive that you want. Then, so these are the glitter markers. Here I've got Iced Ivy. They look gorgeous. Oh, you're very sweet, Michelle. And Golden Honey. So pretty. So I think these would be very, very cool. It looks like they're water-based and have a broad nib. So I would say, doing borders or writing with them, really cool. And then this is new. It's called the must-have gel pen set. So you've got the silver, gold, and white. And I think having a nice gel pen set is always a great idea. They're opaque, so they're going to work on your dark cardstock as well as your light, and you can draw and address your envelopes and add designs. So those are great. And then here I have bronze metal. This one is glacier paste, and you can see like how beautiful. The glacier pastes are really nice. They're really smooth. They have a shine to them. And then this one is the glacier paste in crushed cranberry, which is gorgeous. Hello, Christine. So those are a few new things in the shop that I just wanted to show you. But if you go to scrapshotz.com, and if you look on the left, you'll see the February 1st column. And if you click on any of the dates, it's going to show you what's new according to the date. How do you put them on? Do you mean the glacier paste? So with the glacier paste, you can take a palette knife and you can rub them over the stencil, and it's like a texture paste. You can also water it down and, play with it kind of like a thicker watercolor effect. They're pretty cool. All right, let's get out our things here. We'll do some of these. Let's get out the Yupo first, because I feel like the Yupo is probably the easiest thing to work on. You don't have to work on Yupo because we're going to use lots of different things, but I love working on it because the inks flow so nicely on it. If you didn't like it, you could completely wipe it off. Oh, you're so welcome. And you know, you can start again. You can do so much with the Yupo paper. So there's a bunch of different Yupos. I think they're all pretty much the same quality. This one is the Legion. There's also, I think in the store, the Ranger one. And there might be another one, I can't remember. But this sheet, I cut it into 4, and we can have, you know, there's lots of things we can do to play around with this. So I think the basic steps, if you haven't used alcohol pearls before and you just kind of want to know how to use them. You thought you were done shopping this week. Oh no, Michelle, that would be silly, wouldn't it? And you got a notification, that's good. So with the alcohol pearls, you can see here that the pearl, you know, if you have it standing up, it's going to go to the bottom. So you want to shake it, just shake it up. There's a little mixing ball in there, and it doesn't take long, but I just shake it every time I'm going to use it. So I'm just giving them all a little shake, and then just looking at the bottom, and you can see when it's shaken up. Don't fling it across the room. I guess I don't need to shake that in front of the camera. It's kind of disturbing. There, I'll shake it off the screen, and that way I'm not like making you motion sick. So there are some other pearls in the shop. I grabbed a few of the older ones. With these being the newer ones, they are actually a little more vibrant than the older ones. Your notification came from Victoria. That is funny. Well, I know I sometimes get notifications for people that I've never even watched before, so I don't get it. I am actually, anybody who's watching, I am actually creating an event every week for Thursday. So when you know, if you go Wednesday night and just look at the event on the Scrap Shotz page, then you can add it to your calendar if that helps. But it's always Thursdays, 1 o'clock Mountain Time. So you could just put it in your phone as like a weekly reminder, weekly shopping reminder. So this is alcohol blending solution. Now with the pearls, you want to use blending solution. I'm just putting a little bit onto the background. It doesn't really matter how much. This is just getting it flowing. And you set a phone alarm. Good for you. Yes, I try to do that if there's things that I want to remember, because otherwise I just forget. So you can always add more to this. I just add a little bit down as a base. So let's do like a purple and blue for now. So I'm just adding some on. You can do drops or you can do a little line. That's quite a bit. I probably don't need that much for this, but you're going to see what we're doing. So this, I think, is a must-have. It's the alcohol ink blower, and it works so nicely. Like, people have used straws in the past. You kind of do have to get a little bit closer. So if you're concerned about that, you know, I think this just works so well. You don't have to try and blow through something, get spit on anything. You can control this. So I gave it a little bit of air, And then anywhere where I want things to move around, I'm just adding the blending solution again. So if you use isopropyl, yeah, it is very user-friendly. If you use the isopropyl, you're going to find that the pearls clump. So while you're putting the pearls on, you need to use the blending solution. It has like a resin in it, so you never want to spray it. And you should always kind of work in a well-ventilated area anyways. So that's beautiful. Like we could seriously just leave it like that if we wanted to. If you want to add more pearls, then you're just, you can keep dropping them on. Let's see. So if we wanted to then, let's just keep it basic at first, and then we'll do some other stuff. So this is the pearls. And you can see that pearly shimmer. It's still wet a little bit. It doesn't take long to dry. So the rose gold as well, or sorry, the rose alloy, you're going to shake that up as well. It's got that mixing ball in, and you do not need much of this. So I'm going to put a little drop here, and we can always add more if we need to. This does need blending solution in order to not flake off after. So you can move it around with alcohol after, but it does need some blending solution. So you can see like that little tiny drop, we got a lot from that. So what I like to start out doing is just moving it around, and I get these veiny areas. It does want to kind of clump together, so you're going to want to keep it moving. I'm going to put a little bit more blending solution there. I also got this little hair dryer from Amazon. It just folds up, which I don't think it's that much smaller when it folds up, but let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, I have tried it with the alcohol before, and it clumps. So I just have this little travel hair dryer, and it actually works nice if you want to just dry things or slowly move it around after you get things moved where you want to with the blower. So it kind of just freezes it in place. Now I do want to move this because I don't want this big clump. And sometimes your Yupo will just stick to your glass mat. You do want to work on something that you can wipe off. So you can see I can then go in and like slowly move it to where I want. And then because there's a little bit extra blending solution, I can just turn this on. I'm just holding it a little further away. And it just kind of dries it right away, but you really have the control with this nozzle. Okay, then, so now here, let's hold this up. I know, Michelle. Oh, as soon as I saw Tim do the demo with the pearls, I'm like, yes, I need it. So isn't that pretty? You could totally leave it like that. And sometimes just setting it aside and coming back to it, then you'll be able to figure out whether you want something else in there. So I'm thinking maybe we'll just add, you know what, I'm going to grab this. This is an older one. This is the Celestial. It's a little bit lighter. I'm going to grab a little bit of this just to put right there. And you cannot control this. Thanks, guys. So, I mean, you can, move it around, but you're not going to get anything that looks the same. So really, you just need to have fun with it. So Adding that. And kind of freezing it once you get it. And I'm just holding it up pretty high, so okay, and there, I think I really like that. Like, isn't that pretty? I think that would be a beautiful background. It's definitely satisfying to watch. I can't imagine like the people who do the huge alcohol ink canvases. Oh my goodness. All right, for this one, we're going to do pearls on the bottom. Thanks, Michelle. And then we're going to add in regular inks. So again, we're going to add our blending solution. And let's do this radiant. And then we'll do some of the elixir. Okay, can kind of move that around, and then we can see where we need some more solution. That's even pretty, just like that. Like, it's so beautiful. And even if you just let the alcohol inks kind of dry themselves, you really get a great effect. So it's not, you don't have to dry it with everything. This is more of just moving it around. If you find something you really like and things are still pretty wet, then you can just dry it a little bit. Let's put on, you know what? We're going to put on some alcohol ink now. So let me just give this a dry. And then I'm blowing the things off my table. All right, so we've got the pearls down. Now we can actually go in and grab some ink. So let's see here. Now the inks, you don't need to shake them. This is Mojito. And I'm thinking, I'm just gonna put some drops on, and then I'm gonna add I'm actually gonna add some rubbing alcohol because the pearls are dry. So we have to, I think what I'm gonna do is just grab like a kind of a pool color. This one is actually called Pool. You bought yourself color wheels for several craft bins. Yeah, color theory is definitely important. If you want it to be, and you can, like, if you mix the purple and the green, you are going to get brown. So color wheels can definitely help. So these two are actually just alcohol ink. So because our pearls are dry, now we can go in and use some rubbing alcohol to kind of move things around, and it will actually thin these out a little bit. This one is 91%. I think Dina Wakely as well, on her website, she has some color combination sheets, and she's really great with color. So this, I'm just using a little pipette that I think I stole from my kids' like science experiment kit. And I'm just adding some to move this around. We can always add some more blending solution if we decide we want to. The blending solution gets it moving, and it has that binder for the alloys, and you need it for the pearls, but you can always use rubbing alcohol to move inks around as well. You kind of just have to understand where to layer it. So as long as those pearls were dry, we can then go ahead, add the inks, and add any rubbing alcohol over top, which is good to know. Thanks, Betty. Thanks, Connie. So this, I mean, I'll just kind of show you. We're going to keep going a little bit, but how beautiful is that? So you've got the pearl effect down here and that yellow, and then you have the inks. So I love that you can use them all together, you know, use everything that you have. So let's put a little bit of this alloy in. So we're just going to put one drop this time because you're going to see it just goes so far. And then we'll put one little drop of, or two. And then we can start. I love moving this around. Like, I think you just get such a cool effect. And I think even, we're going to try this. I think this even moves it around, but it's just that you need the blending solution in order for it to stay. So as long as you've had some blending solution on your paper, you're okay. You can still use the alcohol. And then we're going to add some fun effects. So let's give this a little dry. And then because that, even though we've used the alcohol on it, it's dry, we could come back in and use the pearls as long as we're blending it with the blending solution. It is insane, isn't it? So crazy. But the nice thing about the Yupo, like if you really hated it for some reason, you could just put on some rubbing alcohol and wipe everything off. So the same to clean up. You're just, and that even reacts with that alloy. So your blending solution and your ink reacts with that alloy, and you're moving that around again. I love how it looks kind of like that stone look. So I think I kind of actually like how if you add the alloy and then you add some more ink or pearls over top, I really like the way that it kind of moves around. So add a little bit of the radiant there. And then move that. So because we're using the yellow and blue, think about, you know, your color wheel kind of idea, and yellow and blue make green, so you can use them together. They're not going to make mud. Think about your rainbow. So you can use red and yellow together. You can use red and blue because they make purple. You can use blue and green, or blue and yellow, because they make green, and you're going to have the tones in there that it doesn't matter if they all blend together, they're still going to look great. So here, yeah, so fun. I like how it moved that out. So that's really fun. Then, because that's all dry now, we can then come in and, so this splatter brush, it doesn't matter whether it says Distress or Alcohol Ink, they're both the same. But if you're looking for it, it's in the store under Splatter Brush. And if you don't have one of these are so great. So you can, we're going to use it here with rubbing alcohol, but you know, to pick up paint, to pick up ink or distress inks, and then use it like this to splatter and give yourself a fine splatter of mist on your project. It looks so good. Okay, so I'm using my little pipette and grabbing a little bit out. You can also put it in a mister, so don't put your blending solution in a mister, just your alcohol. And then what I have been doing is I'm just putting it on the end. And it does dry quickly, so, but you have some time to keep moving it. So look at those beautiful splatters, and then we can just kind of freeze it. And look at that. I feel like that is just kind of the finishing touch. Isn't that beautiful? And that rose alloy, so pretty. So that is our green and blue. Now we could go and do, let's see here. So we did purple and blue, and that worked together, and that was our green and yellow, or green and yellow and blue. And then if we did blue and red, let's just try that, and then we'll look at some other background ideas. Hello, Kim. So this one is our divine, and then we'll go in with the intense. So again, you're going to start out with your blending solution, because that's what the pearls, how the pearls play nicely. And then going in with our red and blue, and we could even use purple on this too, because red and blue make purple, so it's all going to work together, right? So there, so pretty. And you can see where they meet, they're making their own little purple, which is really pretty. So you could totally stop there if you wanted, but you know we're not going to. All right, let's dry this. I love those areas that just dry. I think this would make a fabulous, like if you just wanted a nice, beautiful background for a card, you could do this in a larger size and then put a, you know, a die cut background or something, or die cut words. And I think it would be gorgeous if you had something quick you needed to do. So then, you know what, we'll just grab this pool again, because we have it out. And then maybe we'll grab a purple from, this one is the Vineyard. I think, you don't need to shake it. I think that this might be in the shop. It might have been one of the newer, the last time Tim released the regular alcohol inks. I think that might have been in with it. That was quite a lot there, but we can tone it down with the alcohol. So we can go in, we can add our alcohol because our pearls are dry. And I think alcohol and pearls, of course, they mix, right? I'm going to put that in there because I've got, let's wipe it off. We can always go over with some more of our pearls once this is dry. That's pretty. So that's pretty deep, just because we added a fair amount of that purple. But again, if you decided, I don't like that, it's too much purple, then let's take our little mini mister. I'll kind of give you just a spray that on. And wipe it off. And it doesn't matter if your background is stained. So I'm essentially kind of starting over because I decided that was a little bit too much purple. I'm not going to wipe the whole thing off because I do like that base in the background, but I want those pearls to kind of shine a little more here. So that's even pretty. Okay, let's go back to our divine. And this is all about just playing around, seeing what you like. Yeah, it does. Hey, if I watch someone do alcohol inks, it really makes me want to play. Yes, the mister does as well. We will try that in a second. So let's move that around. And it's still reacting with that purple that's on there, which is very pretty. Okay, then we can go in with our alloy, add a little bit. I feel like I'm making some kind of a recipe, right, that I will actually never be able to recreate. But it's fun making it, you know, like a little pinch of this and a pinch of that. And then I think you'll figure out your process that you like. So I know that I want to add a little bit more of this blue, or maybe even that celestial blue, just because I really like how that looks when it's over top of the alloy. So even if you feel like the background, I mean, we're doing a lot on these backgrounds. I don't know whether I would necessarily do this much, I guess, depending on the effect that I'm going for. I think it is very pretty, and I really like when you die cut things out of alcohol inked backgrounds, choose different areas to die cut. I think they look really great. Okay, so let's look at this. A lot of really cool layers. Yeah. And that spray, the mini mister with the alcohol, so we can go back in and use that alcohol. I'm just going to hold it up a little bit, move those out of the way. And just get a really fine little mist. Oh, there we go. So you can see it kind of makes those little cells almost really cool. So I think that's a good way, a very cool way to use that. Let's see here. This one here, I just wanted to show you quickly the little smooshing idea, and then we'll look at a few other background ideas that you can use. So this is again a piece of Yupo, and if we were to put some blending solution and then add our colors, so what do we have here? We could do more of an orange yellow, orange red yellow. So that's our orange. That's the radiant. The orange is called Scorch, and then Intense is our red. So these are all going to work nicely together. I feel like I want a little more drop of this. And I think this is definitely a technique that I have not perfected, so I don't really know. We'll see what we get. I'm just laying another piece of Yupo on top, and then we're going to drag it down. That's kind of neat. So you just get this background effect, and then you could start layering on from there. So you can always go back to these backgrounds, and you can add more. So I think I would definitely go in and start adding things to that. This one is really pretty, even just like that. Like, how cool is that? I love that. You too, Lorraine. See you later. And I would probably go in and then use this as a base, and I'd leave that one as is, but then kind of go in with those colors again. And what we're going to do this time is add our alloy before we move these around and just kind of see what effect that gives us. You could seriously, can you not just play with this all day? Like, oh, what if I did this? What if I use this? And add on a little bit of blending solution. I always can't get over how much you get out of that alloy. I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to actually, oops, it's going to fly away there. So those felt pads that you can get for the alcohol ink, or you can just cut your own white felt. Then you can go in and choose a color. So I'm actually going to grab Mineral, which is kind of a nice brown color from the last release of Alcohol Pearls. I know this one was still in the shop. I need to give this a nice shake. If it's been sitting for a while, you'll notice that you have to shake it up a little bit extra. So you could do this either with the pearls, you could do it with the alloy, you could do it with regular ink. This Mineral has a nice pearly effect. So because it's a pearl, we're going to keep blending solution on there. We could even go in with, we'll just grab this coral color, which is just an ink, just to kind of add a little bit of. So I don't know if you guys remember, but back oh, back in the day, when I first started doing alcohol ink, it was all about you put your colors on and you just sponged it all over your project, and that was it. Like there was no dropping things on anything, and it was a lot of glossy cardstock. So this kind of reminds me of that. So if you want to get that effect with the blending solution, those kind of bubbly areas, and you want to use your sponge, you can even add a little bit right to your background. Then you can use the felt. And every time you kind of push it on, it's going to move around, and then you can dry it if you like it, certain area. And that's even moving that alloy around. But just a really cool, another kind of really cool effect, right? So I would probably go over that with a little bit more pearls, but I want to kind of keep this moving. We could, and of course, we could also, you know, do some flicking with the alcohol and until you get it just how you like it. Okay, so I thought that we would try these. I don't know how they're going to work out, but I put some white paint on some chipboard because I think we all have a bazillion pieces of chipboard or wood pieces. These are wood actually, but chipboard would work as well. So I've got white paint on this. I've got clear gesso, the Dina Wakley stuff from the shop on this. So I thought, you know what, let's just try it. I didn't really have time to try it before, but we'll keep with the felt piece. So we'll just keep with these colors. So we've got the Scorch, and let's do the Radiant. And so this is on wood painted with white acrylic paint. So you're not going to be able to move it like you would, but I think it actually gives a really nice effect. That is pretty, hey? And then you've still got that pearly effect. So that's neat. And I always think it's good if you can use things in more than one way. So we'll add a little bit of red to this because we know that's not going to make mud. And we'll try it on the clear gesso and see how it works. And so of course, I don't think you're not going to get this to move around. We can spray it with the alcohol and see if it reacts. I don't know whether it's going to or not, but you do get a really cool effect. So just a nice way to color things. Of course, it does work on metal, so alcohol inks on metal are going to work. Let's see here. Let's just try it and see. I don't know whether anything will happen or not. I don't. It might it might just kind of blend it out a little bit. I don't think you're going to get that effect that you do with the little dots on the Yupo, but it certainly doesn't hurt to try anything. This one here, I thought that we would try just coloring some clear or glitter dots. So really all you need to do, let's turn this over. If you wanted to customize your dots to match your project. So this one I used the red, and you can see how really intense that is. You could either use your sponge if you wanted it a little bit lighter. So say you don't want to do all of them. So that's going to give us a lighter effect. And this was dropping it on directly. So when I dropped it on directly, this random pearl in there, I don't know where that came from. I just dropped it on and kind of moved it around and let it dry. And you're getting this really intense pearly color. But if you had it on your felt, then you would totally, yeah, really nice, hey? You can use your alcohol inks to do this as well. The pearl just gives it this, like I'll hold it close up. The pearl gives it that pearly sheen. So that's a neat idea. Let's see. Just want to come back to this and look at it. Oh, I can really see the pearl shimmering. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but in the light, in real person, real life, I can. All right, then you can also, of course, do your white or colored dots. So that was with the red. So if you're doing it with your something that's watered down a little bit, you're going to get that opaque effect behind it and a little bit softer. But it's going to look more opaque than like a clear dot, right? Or if you put it on directly, you're going to get a really nice color. Then, let's move that out of the way. This is the Spellbinders brush silver, so we use the brush gold. So this is just a cardstock, but I thought it actually did work pretty cool, which is neat. So I just put some of that and we'll try and see, and I'm pretty sure this was the Spellbinders as well. Let's do this divine. And I don't really know how this is going to react on the silver, but it worked on the gold, so I thought, you know what, let's just try it. Let's actually stick with our pool ink and then a little bit of this celestial pearl. And it still is kind of moving around, so I think if you set it on there and left it, you probably wouldn't be able to move it around, but it looks like, you know, you have a little bit of time to move things, and then you get this really pretty effect, and we'll let that blending solution dry, and then we'll kind of come back to that and see how that is. But that's a neat effect, and then we still have lots of stuff on here, so we could, you know, go in with, I wouldn't combine these, but just to show you the effect. So I think because the silver cardstock is behind the inks and they're not opaque, you're going to see that. So I think depending on what you're looking for, if you were to die cut something out of that or do a background in it, you still get a cool effect. And I think that's probably going to dry more in the background. Then here, let's do this one. I thought this was kind of neat. We'll just turn on these. So this is one of the clear toner sheets. And we want to foil the side that almost looks like it has a tiny bit of a shadow, not the side that looks like it's completely really flat or really black, shiny. We want to do the side that looks almost like it has a little bit of a flat inked surface. By flat, I just mean not shiny. And then we can ink the background just like we would a piece of acetate. So let's run this through. Okay, while that's running through, so this is the acetate that I did. And it's kind of different depending on which side you're looking at. Let's see. This is the Metallic Confections cardstock. So again, you can ink on this, and this actually, it surprises me how well this works. So it's that Tim Holtz cardstock that has kind of the foiled side to it. And you really get some good movement. And then you can go, this stuff looks beautiful embossed. So you can emboss it after. This is just the purple. You don't have to combine colors too. If you wanted to leave it just kind of like that, beautiful, right? We could add a little bit of that rose. And I usually like to run my foiled stuff through one side up and then I turn it the other side up. So we'll just do that. And it's really neat just the way it starts to move. So there's another video on the Scrap Shotz video page, and we did some gift card holders, I think it was, that we used this as the background, and they looked really good. So there's lots of colors that come in that. So I really, really like that. You could even go in, add a little bit of the blue. You don't have to super control it, just kind of guide it to where you want it to be. Like, it's just a really, really cool effect. Okay, here's our Deco Foil toner, clear toner sheet. So this pack here has, this is the 2-piece Time to Fly. I think this is still in the store. It's a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of the butterflies and then of the dragonflies. So that's it there. Thanks, guys. So then let's pull this off. You get this beautiful foiled effect. And of course, don't throw that away because we've used those lots of times. So this you could even place over a background, but if you decided that you wanted to ink it, then turn it over. Let's put a piece of white cardstock behind just so you can see it. And then maybe let's do the green. So we'll add a little bit of this. So anything that's non-porous, you can really add these alcohol inks to. And I like too that you can you can go and stop, and then you can decide, oh, do I like that? Like, that's so pretty. But if you wanted more, then you could go in like with this yellow. So this is the Radiant. So these are going to give you the really pearly look. And then I think what we'll do, after we move this around, maybe we'll put that alloy on the felt and we'll get more of a different effect. So we'll take this felt off and just throw those felt pieces away when you're done using it. So we'll add a little bit of this alloy. Instead of dripping it on, we'll actually just kind of put it on our felt. So I think if you did a bunch of backgrounds, and I'm just stamping over different areas. I'm not really worrying too much, but you can see where it's still wet, because it's not going to dry right away. It really does like to kind of go together. So it's going to almost pull itself together, but we're getting a lot smaller amount. And then when you turn it over, you get that pretty effect. So you could put a piece of blue cardstock behind that. I think that would look really pretty. You could add some blue to the background and then use it as like a shaker window. That would be pretty. Lots of different things you could do with that. And the acetate is going to work the same way. You're just going to take a piece of acetate and add your colors on. And this is the acetate. And then decide what layer, what side you want facing up, because they both look different. Here's the background when I added a little bit more. So when you add it a little more intense and I added a little bit of ink, then you're definitely going to get a darker effect, and those dragonflies are going to show up more. So we could even do that. We could add a little bit of, let's see here. Let's grab this glacier. So we want to make sure we turn it over and do the back. Otherwise, it will cover our foiled spots. And this is the ink, so we can then go ahead and use a little bit of our alcohol to move it around because the pearls are dry. And the alcohol almost just dilutes it a little bit. And that's going to react with anywhere where you had that alloy. So it's almost like you need to just do a little bit, check it out, see what you like. I like those dragonflies. They're very pretty. Thanks, Victoria. Anyway, depending on what colors you wanted, you could just keep going. I think that was all the pieces I was going to do. And then I was going to just show you how nicely it die cuts. So let me grab I've got this friend die. Let's grab one of the Yupo pieces. I've got a black piece. We'll see what it goes with in a minute here, but maybe. So then you could go in and do any of these like little pieces that you did before, and maybe it's a little bit of a hot mess, and you decide that you want to do a little bit of die cutting. So we're just going to put it on, and using my Spellbinders Platinum, put that die cut out very nicely. Really am liking this machine. And I didn't bring any pokey things, so let's see here. Steal my daughter's pencil. So this is just die cut out of the Yupo. So it die cuts. Now look how beautiful that is. Like even if you didn't like your background, because I thought that background was a little bit of a mess, hot mess, I really love that. And then you can put your die cut on. And I would just use my Art Institute glue, or I'll have to find the little piece for the eye. Oh, it's still in here. Or collage medium would work as well, and that just looks gorgeous. And then, you know, you could have that on a white background. I wouldn't put on there, but you could put it on something else that wasn't, you know, that's not going to compete for it. But I think something that's, you can see how pretty that is. Yes, so nice. Anyway, I think what I'll do is over the next week, I'll probably, you know, do some die cutting, kind of get some things together, and then just show you guys what to do with some of these backgrounds that we've made. So hopefully that gave you some ideas about different ways that you can use your alcohol ink pearls, and if it's something that you're interested in trying out, it'll give you some different ways to use them. But I think they're really fun. I had a lot of fun. I think the only other thing was this. So that was the alcohol ink on the jelly plate. I'm going to have to deal with that later. This was just on with acrylic paint on the background, and I thought this actually worked really well as well. So I'll just kind of show you really, really quickly. I'll keep it kind of rainbow order. I did the red, yellow, orange. And of course, it's not going to be as smooth as the Yupo, but you're getting a really cool effect. So it's still moving around because you have that acrylic paint on there. So I think there's a lot of things you could do with that as well. Yeah, you are so welcome. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend ahead and have fun playing with your crafty supplies. Our challenge this week at in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group this month rather is love, friendship, and hearts. So if you have anything with any of those, we would love to see your projects. You can link them up in the album, and there'll be a gift certificate for $25, a giveaway at the end of February. So we want to see what you're sharing. If you put them in the album and then you comment on it, then we can see it in the feed. You're so welcome, guys. Yeah, go play. Have some fun playing with your supplies, and take some crafty time for yourself. I'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks. Bye.